Ahoy, everyone. This is David Perry with my continuing series of online interviews with friends, colleagues, and in this case, icons from around the world. Welcome
Whoa.
to the Zoom Room, the one and only Ms. Film herself, the lady with the hats, Emmy Award winner, Jan Wahl. Jan, hello.
Hi, David. We are friends, colleagues, and well, the icon thing, I'll tell you, it seems to be happening.
Yeah, you are. Trust me on this. And we've been friends too long for either of us to tell the real length of time because we'd be giving away things. We don't want to do that.
No, but if you keep at something, you can go far.
So I have been in your wonderful home and I have seen your collection of hats that would put, well, a dynasty closet to shame. How many hats do you have now?
At any one time, I usually have about 85. And then what happens is when I get tired of them, I donate them to usually gay charities because a lot of my drag queen colleagues and friends, they like them.
Well, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So give to a gay charity, something like the AIDS Emergency Fund, which is quite not
Sure.
an AIDS charity, but certainly has done a
Mhm.
lot for the LGBT community. What's your favorite charity in the Bay
I
Area?
like the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Well,
They are wonderful. They are wonderful. They give so many, they do so much charity. They really do. Sister Roma. Also, if I ever have a question, I always go to my colleague and very close friend, Donna Sachet.
Absolutely. And Donna Sachet is a longtime friend. She succeeded me as the board president for the Rainbow Honor Walk. So I
I
told
do.
her I know that my Rainbow Honor Walk, which I helped found 15 years ago, is in good heels.
I just talked about the Rainbow Honor Walk. I meant to tell you this. I got to send it to you on KGO the other night, Saturday night, because I was talking about the movie about Turing, Alan Turing, the Imitation Game, where Benedict Cumberbatch plays him. And Alan Turing was a man who was killed for being gay by the British government after he had broken the code to help us try to bust the Nazis. I mean, this brilliant man. And in those days, it was very bad for
Yeah.
gay people. So Alan Turing is on this. So I was, of course, talking about the Rainbow Walk of Fame.
Well, I appreciate that. A little bit of history that not a lot of people know. The first 20 plaques were laid in 2014, but the actual physical one that the San Francisco Department of Public Works put in concrete at 4 in the morning was Alan Turing at the corner of 18th and Castro.
How great.
Well, listen, enough about charity, although it's all about charity for you because you've done so much good work. But I want to talk about you now because I understand you have a new podcast. Tell us about it.
David, you've been telling me to do this for years, and I'm like, what is that? I can say I'm an expert on some things like classic Hollywood, scandals, certain things, right? But I am not an expert in technology. In fact, I suck at it. So somebody said, look, a really good friend of mine, Nikki, said, I'll come to your house. I'll shoot you for 10 minutes. We'll do it in one take on your balcony here in Marin. And I said, okay, that sounds easy. I can handle it. He said, then you'll have a YouTube channel. And I said, wait, how much is that? Nothing, zero. So then I'll have a YouTube channel and then we'll put it on. We'll do it every week. I thought I can handle 10 minutes every week, especially if you come here. So now I have it. It's called you go into YouTube and just say Jan Wahl Showbiz. Jan Wahl Showbiz. Because showbiz is my life, David.
I know it is. I met you, I don't believe it was on the red carpet, but I'm sure it had something to do with the red carpet, obviously talking about film. And when I represented films, I would always have you on the aisle. You are, without exaggeration, the greatest film lover and film expert that I've ever met. Talk to me a little bit about what impact COVID has had on the industry.
Well, there's two ways to look at this. On people, friends, colleagues, strangers, I think there's a lot of people reevaluating and reappreciating classic film. So there's that. Now, in terms of the industry, there's no theaters. I mean, I went by myself to a Netflix screening on the day after Thanksgiving in Marin here. and they gave me a private screening. I think there were 3 other people in there. It was a very not crowded film. It was so great to be back in a theater. Hadn't been in one since April. But anyway, it was of Mank, about Herman Mankiewicz, that Gary Oldman. You're going to have to see it, baby. It's about who really wrote Citizen Kane and William Randolph Hearst and Marion Davies. Yeah, there we go. So it's called Mank. Anyway, I got a private screening, so I was in a movie theater. But for the most part, there are no movie theaters, so the magic of the big screen is gone. So that's affected the industry. And Netflix is going to be the big Oscar winner. You know, now the Oscars, see, this is new, David. Now the Oscars are going to be about things on the internet. So the whole way we look at movies is completely different. And now what's that?
How do you feel about that, having Netflix as part of the Oscars?
Just great. They're doing wonderful work. I mean, there's no choice. What are you going to do? There's no choice. But what I love is that movies still have their magic. And Netflix did the Hollywood series that I loved about Rock Hudson and Scotty Bowers, who ran the.
I loved that series. Oh my!
So did I.
Watched it, and the people who didn't like it, I thought, you have no imagination. I know that sounds terrible.
Right.
It to me was just magic.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I am with you, brother. The thing is that show, you know, which was Netflix, combined fiction with nonfiction in a way I've just never seen. And you're a writer, so you must have just went nuts for it. I loved it, and I would want people to see Hollywood, the series. Now, there's a lot of other good Netflix things, and I think they're very imaginative. And you know, I'm okay with it. I'm okay if it's anything that's good, anything that touches me. I mean, show business I love so much, David. I thought, oh, well, someday I'm not going to love it. You know, someday it's going to be less. Well, that never happened. Now it's more. What happened? I mean, as I've gotten older, and God knows I'm old, it is really in my heart. I love it so much.
Listen, Jan, you are not old. I know you have a great connection to Hollywood in Southern California, and I'm talking to you from Palm Springs. I like to say that we people of a certain age
of a certain age.
We are now mid-century modern.
That's right, mid-century modern. Yes, as Palm Springs would say.
Yeah. So tell me what you think the Oscars this year or next year are going to be like, because they're going to be in April. What do you think it's going to be?
It'll be very different. First of all, well, I mean, all my favorite stars won't be there because they're, dead. You know, so they won't be there. I mean, people, you know, that made it all so glamorous and fabulous. But you know, it'll be different. Everything's different now. Thanksgiving was different. Everything's different. And so, you know, it won't be the same. You know, I don't know. I hope that I'm a big Jimmy Kimmel fan. So I hope they choose someone like him or like that wonderful, it's not just for gays anymore. This guy was the MC for the Tonys. He has 3 names. Oh, come on, you know, and he has twins. I think they have twins, he and his husband.
You're killing me.
What?
You're killing me. I can't remember.
Anyway, I love that guy, so that would be okay. Or just so I can go into deep, heavy heat and lust, there's the guy who was going to do The Music Man, Hugh Jackman. I was going to go to New York. I know, hello. I was going to go to New York and see it, but of course, COVID happened. So, you know, the world is different. But if they put any of those big, Neil Patrick Harris, okay?
Yes.
So, boy, if I hadn't gotten that, I would have been really sad.
His husband actually was in a play at the Magic Theater when I was doing PR for them about 10 years ago.
Is that right, David?
Neil Patrick Harris's husband was a cast member in the play, The Opposite of Sex, at the Magic Theater at Fort Mason about 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my God, The Opposite of Sex. Is that any relation to the remake of The Women that sucked so bad on the screen?
No. This is the stage version of the play that
better.
The young actress who was in The Addams Family and also that short-lived show
Christina Ricci?
Yes.
I love her.
She was in the movie version of it called The Opposite of Sex.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm mixing it up with The Opposite Sex.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Well,
state.
when you live in the land of show business, as you and I do, I mean, you're also more in the literary land and the promotional land, which you've been doing on the highest level of professionalism since I've known you. And when we actually met on a cruise, and we used a boat.
I know. I was talking to Bill Miller, the great maritime historian.
Ah, Bill Miller.
I'll
People
send you.
don't know.
He does a weekly report called COVID and Cruising about how the cruise industry is getting through COVID. I'll send it to you. It's very informative.
Mm-hmm.
And he's optimistic that by the spring, we'll be sailing again because you give wonderful lectures. I lecture on maritime history.
Yes.
And I said, one day you and I have to be aboard ship together and do ships in the movies. We'd be a great tag team.
Do you know how many great ones there are? I was just watching for the, 2000th time, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And that's the Ile de France. And I absolutely love all that shipboard stuff on board. Oh, it's fabulous. And then, well, there's so many, there's so many great ones on the ships.
Yes. Yeah, I think one of my favorites is the original Titanic with Barbara Stanwyck, which I always
Barbara Stanwyck and Clifton Webb.
Terrible history, but a great movie. And as you know, wonderful. It was during that filming that she started her affair with
Robert Wagner. Yeah. He liked older women. Well, I think he liked women in general. Maybe men. I believe also men. I believe both.
So Jan, talk to me a little bit about what you want to do with this podcast. Who do you hope will watch it?
Okay.
Who do you really want
Thank
to
you.
Yeah.
You're the first person to ask me about it. Okay,
I'm honored.
I've done 3, right? Jan Wahl Showbiz on YouTube. I've done 3, and like the last one is exactly what I want to do with it, which is all it is less than 10 minutes of me yakking, right? But I use props. I'm not comparing myself to the great Fred Astaire, the brilliant genius Fred Astaire. But he used props when he danced. When he danced alone, he would do like a hat rack or a drum set, or he used all these great props. Well, I use props, okay? And I used a Salvador Dali painting. I'm looking at it right now. And I raise it up and I talk about Salvador Dali in the movies and how he did surrealism in Hitchcock film and all kinds of other things. And then I'll lift up a book on the history of the LGBT community in Hollywood. And then I'll pick up a DVD of some wonderful movie, like Auntie Mame with Rosalind Russell. And I'll talk about it. And David, the concept is to turn people on to things they don't know, or to reevaluate and reappreciate them. That's all it is. That's my concept. So afterward, I've been getting a lot of feedback about, God, I forgot about that movie, or I forgot that Dolly did that. Or if I talk about a great fashion designer, like Ori Kelly or any of these great fashion designers. Oh, I've got to re-see that movie and just look at the fashion. So that's what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you an unfair question.
That's okay.
And then I'll tell you what Alfredo and I have. What are your...
How many men have I slept with? Is that what you want to know? No.
No, I don't have enough time. What is your favorite movie and why? And what is your second favorite movie and why?
Yeah, that kind of is hard. Every day it changes, but it's always a same top. I have some that are always the same. For me, Patty Chayefsky's Network is a really important, fabulous, brilliantly done movie. And it's about what happened. He was so ahead of himself, ahead of the times, because it's about what happened when network television news is taken over by entertainment, the entertainment division. And David, we see it every day.
That movie was prophetic. You can watch it now today, and it seems like prophecy.
Right. Reality TV's in it. Everything's in it. And boy, you and I are always on the same page, Dave. Ever since we've known each other.
My favorite film.
Since 1804.
Well, 1904, but we both had work. That's all right. My favorite film is Now Voyager.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's where the hats, my hats are influenced by Now Voyager.
Well, and
it's got a boat on it. Of course,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, of course.
Tell me this. You know that scene in James Cameron's Titanic when Rose
Yeah.
looks up at
Yes.
the ship with the hat? I
Yes.
absolutely believe that's an homage
I
to
agree.
Voyager.
I agree. If I had that director here, I would ask him that. I think that is. I think that is, and that is a movie I've talked about on these podcasts already, and I'll never stop talking about it. Now Voyager is so beautiful, and she loved that movie. And Claude Rains, that was like her sixth movie with him, and everybody's wonderful in that film. And it's got this ending that will just fill you up. It's a good feminist ending. Yeah.
Why wish for the moon?
When we have the stars.
For me, it is the movie that is about how transformative an ocean voyage can be, but about coming out of oneself. Alfredo's favorite film is Breakfast at Tiffany. But
I was wondering, yeah.
And we both have our second favorite film is the same. But if you ask me what I think is the best film ever made, it's our second favorite film, Casablanca.
Really? Okay. I can see that. There's not an ounce of fat on Casablanca. It's completely brilliantly edited, casting, everything. Written, the language. I would go for my second, I would go for between two movies about colorful women. As a woman, I've had to fight the good fight, as the LGBT community has, as all of us have, who are marginalized by people with no color, no imagination, darling. So I love movies about strong, colorful women. So for me, I mentioned it just now with Rosalind Russell, Auntie Mame. And then I would go for Harold and Maude. Because Harold and Maude, not only the Tea for the Tillerman, wonderful music, right? But also this character of Maude is so, Ruth Gordon is so, she's just so right. When somebody plants my mother used to say, plant your feet and tell your truth, Jan. And when she does that through the whole film, it just knocks me out.
Talking about movies with strong women and strong women characters, one of my favorite, which I always thought never got the attention it deserved, and you can't find it online. There are pirated versions on YouTube, the DVD. It's actually a movie that in many ways helped inspire my novel that you see behind me.
Yes.
Tea with Mussolini.
Oh, I love that film.
I mean,
nobody knows about that movie.
Cher. Maggie Smith.
Right.
Joan Plowright. Judi
Dench. And a great story. And the location in Italy is gorgeous.
Yeah, San Gimignano.
Oh my God. Why isn't nobody knows that movie?
I don't know. Michael McHale, who's worked for us for a long time, loves movies, and he says that he thinks it was marketed the wrong way. They marketed it as if it was all about Cher, as opposed to it's an ensemble film about these women who are based on real women who lived in Florence during World War II.
Right.
It's the thinly veiled childhood of Franco Zeffirelli.
What it is? I did not know that. Oh, see. The thing about great movies is they never stop being surprising. I mean, I can tell you scandals about people in different movies because I just love Hollywood scandals.
Give me a couple.
It's one of my favorite talks that I give. Of course, I don't do it on the cruise ships you and I have been on because they're a little uptight. Instead, the ones we've been on, they're kind of fancy dancy. But I've done a lot of speeches on scandals, and there's always something. But about Zeffirelli, Zeffirelli made my favorite Shakespeare movie, which is with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, the Taming of the Shrew.
Genius. I think it's one of Liz Taylor's best films.
It is.
At that moment, you know that she and Dick Burton were deeply in love and lust. I
like to think of them doing it.
Well, don't you remember what Richard Burton famously said about Liz Taylor?
Yeah, every minute she spends out of bed is a waste of time.
Yeah. We've got a few minutes left.
David, you and I are the only ones that really know that. We have such common ground,
Tell me one of your favorite scandals, one that a lot of people don't know about, one of your Hollywood scandals that you think people just don't know this one. And here in Palm Springs, there are a lot of retired Hollywood types. So
yeah, oh, they know. Oh, are you kidding? I go down there. I mean, my dream is to go down there and give a talk about this, because there's so many people who well, I love going down there anyway. I want to go in January, actually. There's so many people who get me down there, and I get them.
I make you this promise. I am going to, when we finish this interview, work on getting you a date here in January.
Good.
If you will let me do your introduction.
Of course. Are you kidding? I'd love you to do it. Are you kidding? I'd love that. Anyway, so I think Billy Haynes. I think the William Haynes story, because it has such a happy ending. Sometimes I look for a really happy ending because it gives us, right now we could all use it, And William Haynes was a 1920s big star. I mean, like Tom Hanks, like big time star. And people loved him, silent movies. And he just loved working with Marion Davies and Crawford. And, he was friends with everybody. Everybody loved him. He was an out-of-the-closet gay man in the 1920s. And he had a longtime companion who stayed with him his whole life. They unfortunately weren't allowed to get married back then. But, Jimmy Shields, they stayed together always. Here's the part I love. Louis B. Mayer said, listen, Billy, you're the #1 star. You make all this money. But I need you to have a beard. I need you to go out with Norma Shearer, go out with, these stars, so that people think you're straight. And he said, no way, I'm not doing it. Shields comes with me everywhere, and I'm gay, And so Louis B. Mayer said, you're fired. So he fired him. Well, many years later, Billy comes back as the #1, not even so many years later, because he was doing it while he was a star, the #1 interior designer almost on the planet. And if you look him up, you'll see all his interior designs. He did places for diplomats. He did, of course, he did Ronnie and Nancy and all these different people's houses, Crawford, all these famous people, Carol Lombard. He was great. And I want him to get I'm going to have to tell Donna Sachet, we got to get him I'm sorry he did Ronnie and Nancy, but he was friends with everybody who had like trillions of dollars to do so he could do their homes.
And Jan, I'm with you. I know you have nominated him for the Rainbow Honor Walk. I'm no longer on the board, so I can express a public opinion.
Well, just because he wouldn't be bearded. All the gay people in those days, men and women, and there were a lot of them, wanted to be bearded, and he refused, and I love that.
So, Jan, I can tell that we're going to have to, in a couple of months, do another interview about the podcast. And I am going to find a way to get you down here in January.
I would love it.
Better way to celebrate COVID, the great pause, as I call it, being over, than to have Jan Wahl talk about movies here in
scandals and Hollywood scandals. Yeah.
Jan,
Hollywood scandals. Yeah.
It's been a great pleasure. Tell everyone where they can find your podcast again.
You just go into YouTube, and it's Jan Wahl, WAHL Showbiz.
I can't wait. We've been speaking with the one and only Jan Wahl, my dear friend, the hat lady herself, and truly a dear part of
I love you, baby.
Family. Ahoy.